Today on TwoSun Tuesday, I have a really heavy knife here, and kerchunk, here it is. This one's another Wong design here. This is the TS283. I do believe that the dash brass is also part of the model number, but this is the only variant that I've particularly seen for it. This thing, like I said, it's quite heavy. It's just a hair under 5.8 ounces or 164 grams. So that's quite a hefty piece there. And these are basically brass. As you can see here, they are inserts, not quite onlays. They're technically inlays, but hey, they do stick up proud, so, you know, whatever you particularly want to call that. And we can see, I would definitely call this a SubFrame Lock, because these are some very thick titanium pieces that we have going on there. We got a little bit longer pocket clip than usual there, but has a nice bit of flex to it. I like Wong's approach usually with his pocket clips. They make them really easy to get in and out of the pocket. As you can see, this thing's got a pair of thumb studs here that you can use to open that up. It's not used as the stop pin there, though, so they were specifically designed just for using as thumb studs. And as that, they're okay. They're not exactly the best things I've ever used for a thumb stud. They are very, very machined and refined, so you really don't have much grip on it whatsoever. So trying to do it from the top, your thumb's just going to slip all the way out there, and you do have to make sure that you have enough purchase to be able to throw it out. But when you do, works out pretty darn well. But of course, this is also a pretty large front flipper. We do have that front flipper tang that sticks up quite a bit there. And as long as you keep your finger out of the way, then that will do it. This is a 14C28N. I've done a little bit of aftermarket stone washing on this quite a few months ago at this point. And we do have that kind of acid wash tumbled titanium finish there that really does make the brass pop on this. The brass does have a conformal coating of some sort. Otherwise, this would absolutely look dingy ass brown by the time that you've seen this, since I've carried this thing quite a bit. So that is nice, but if you are thinking of doing something like using some metal polish on there, just be prepared to have this stuff tarnish, or well, patina, I guess, as some people call it. I usually think the brass and copper just tarnish. They just end up looking like ass real quick. But that's just kind of my take on there. They're really heavy as well. Like I said, this is almost 5.8 ounces for a 3.3-inch blade. We got 0.62 of an inch, but that's obviously between the brass onlays there, so it doesn't count for the whole thickness, top and bottom there. And it does a pretty good job of doing some contours there. Something that is a little interesting there is we do have this tang here, but as you can see on the back side, the blade stop pin is actually integral to the blade, which I don't actually see in a whole lot of front flippers. Usually they'll have that right there at the back. This thing's quite a lot of fun to just kind of fidget around with. You know, obviously it is a little bit of a larger knife for some who are used to some smaller front flippers. I do actually kind of like some larger ones like this guy here. The blade is pretty decently hidden in there. There's a little tiny bit that I might be able to get myself with if I was trying, but it's definitely a better attempt than I've seen at a lot of other TwoSuns with that whole snaggletooth issue, as I have been referring to it lately. We got a lanyard post integrated into the back spacer there. I really like that for not just having a random hole drilled in the blade that some people would or wouldn't want to use. And yeah, we can see we have external lock bar relief there. And I don't think there's really much in the way of milling going on the inside of these things. Definitely something that adds to the weight on this overall. But yeah, we got nice jimping up top here. Pretty darn comfortable for a place for your thumb to be. These jimpings aren't incredibly sharp and aggressive, but they definitely hold on to my thumb pretty darn well. And I do like that ramp up there. But yeah, I guess kind of maybe you could think of this as a very back-sized harpoon-style blade. But I really kind of wouldn't. It does have a bit of an upsweep there, so I guess a little bit of a Persian influence there. But yeah, it just ends up working out quite well for a lot of that stuff. I do like the gradual plunge grind there, going up to the top swedge. It just kind of looks nice. And we do have a nice sharpening choil there. That the plunge grind basically ends right around here, so we do have quite a bit for you to sharpen before you would hit that. So that'll help out with the longevity if you end up using this blade for a whole bunch of stuff. It's a pretty cool piece. This one also kind of is on the heels of another one that he did right around the same time. Let's see if I can grab it out here. I didn't think about it beforehand. Here we are. And I think I've already taken a look at this one. This is the TS284. This is also another like those crazy subframe lock of titanium, but this has more titanium bits on top instead of brass, and then yeah, pocket clip on both sides, and also a front flipper. But this one has a nice generous finger choil on there. So. But this isn't the knife in particular I'm talking about right now, so yeah, back to this guy. It is a fairly attractive piece. I do really appreciate the anti-corrosion or whatever kind of coating that they ended up throwing on there. Does remind me quite a bit of the kind of coating that Zippo ends up putting on their brass and copper lighters, and that's definitely how I'm very familiar with using metal polish on it. We'll strip that off, and then the thing basically tarnishes to well, it's not going to be copper, so it won't tarnish to that weird funky green, but it'll definitely be brown and have some of that bluing and stuff in there that some people really find attractive, and I don't necessarily, so I'm glad I can at least keep it that way. But yes, if you are interested in having this thing gather a lot more patina, then sure, use some metal polish like Never Dull or something like that to be able to strip that off, and hey, there you go. Then you can patina this thing to your heart's content. I have noticed on this one in particular that the stop pin, or not the stop pin, but the lanyard pin here does jiggle just a little bit. Yeah, right up by the microphone. Hopefully that picked it up. So that's something that it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. If that's something that bothers you, something that I've done in the past, where it's usually a little bit more egregious on some Boker Kalashnikov automats, they're switchblade things. So you can take just a little tiny bit of cotton off of a swab, take just a little tiny bit, and you can put it on either side of that pin there, and that will add just a little bit of extra pressure so that it's not, rattling around, and it also cushions that side. You're definitely not going to need it on both sides of that pin though, because well, Might have a hard time actually making the pen fit back together correctly there, as the tolerances aren't very much off. But yeah, that's only if something like a little bit of a rattling like that will bother you. For some it does, for others it doesn't. But hey, it's a super easy fix as long as you have a few minutes and a Torx 8 screwdriver. Let's see. Now that I've been yammering on for 10 minutes, I should probably do some size comparisons here. So there we go with the PM2 and the Benchmade 940. And the Ontario Rat number 1. Yeah, not a super tiny knife, but not exactly the longest thing either. It's just kind of right in that middle range. I don't really wish that this blade was any longer. Definitely does basically all the jobs that I need to do. And if I need a longer blade than this, generally I should probably be reaching for a fixed blade anyway. So there is definitely that. If I hadn't covered it before, I did say this is a 3.3-inch blade. And the blade stock thickness on here is 3.7, so just a touch under their usual 3.8 blade stock thickness. So it just helps out just a little tiny bit with the sliciness there. This does come down to quite a nice point behind the edge there. And keep in mind that I have sharpened this a couple of times. Definitely once after doing the stone wash. This wasn't exactly my absolute best stonewash finish ever, but hey, it's stonewashed, so definitely had scratches more than it did. But yes, I'd also sharpened it once or twice beforehand, so it has gotten just a little touch thicker behind there, but it's still very, very nice and thin. So pretty nice slicer. And, well, this basically concludes my standard reviewing sort of thing going on here. I am going to go ahead and take this thing apart, and you're welcome to stick around if you want to see the inside of this thing. But for those of you who really don't care about that, and we're just caring a little bit more about the ergonomics and the stats and all that sort of stuff, well, I appreciate y'all for watching. And for the rest of us, let's go ahead and take a look on the inside. We got a single screw here on the pocket clip that goes all the way through to a Chicago screw on the backside. And we have the front pivot here, which isn't quite as large as TwoSun's normal pivot screw is. It's a little bit smaller. As far as the actual screw size is, obviously. Usually you'll see those little tri-lines are coming off of there. I don't think I'm missing something underneath there. But I can get that in there. Nope, I'm not. Okay, it's just a little stubborn. There we go. All right, yeah, we don't really have anything going on for milling on the inside of these guys outside of you know, just the little bit of rounding and the scalloping there. You can see the internal blade stop pin there, the D-shaped pivot going on, and yep, that's basically it. Pretty darn similar there, or pretty darn simple on the inside. Like I said, this doesn't really have any skeletonization going on the inside. Part of that's due to it having that channel in the front for the brass pieces to fit into. But yeah, that also does make this thing quite the heavy beast. Not really a whole lot else to go over there. The hardened steel insert this time does not act as an over travel stop. But that's because the brass actually does a pretty good job of that, and it's yeah, it ends up working out quite well. It does kind of seem like they possibly thought about doing that with that little kind of cutout notch there, but doesn't look like they needed it, so it's not included. All right, D-shaped pivot. Have the flat side facing that way. Should be able to slap this guy back together super easy. Well, it was, and then I did bad things, but okay. We got it. So yes, even though the pivot screw on this does look quite a bit smaller than a lot of their others, it still is a 6mm pivot, which is their normal size there. In case that's something you were curious about, it's still using the 6mm instead of a smaller 5mm. But yeah, pretty interesting piece. I like it quite a bit. It's one of those super bulky ones like this other teal one that I was just talking about that Wong has done that I appreciate, but I can definitely see this not being anyone's absolute favorite and one and only knife. But it still is a heck of a lot of fun, and really it does have some nice flashy looks to it. So, alrighty. Well, that's basically everything I wanted to cover with the TS283. So, yeah, we'll call it at that. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.